6th Sunday of Ordinary Time. Year, a reading 1, Sirach 15, 15 to 20, reading 2, 1 Corinthians 2, 6 to 10. Gospel, Matthew 5:17 to 37, Psalm/response, Psalm 119. Blessed are those who work in the law of the Lord. Without divine wisdom elevating human wisdom through the Holy Spirit, our best products in the world can become Pandora boxes for us and for the future generations. Jesus has not only not come to abolish the law, he has also not come to make us lawless. He has come with superior knowledge, superior understanding, and superior wisdom. The first reading invites us to choose to keep the commandments of God in order to gain salvation. To keep the commandments of God requires that we trust Him. Obedience to God is not induced with military forces scouring our environments to capture defaulters. It is based on trust and love for God. Wahab ben Sira makes it a duty to show that any choice we make comes with a responsibility. There is life and there is death. There is good and there is evil. And we have been placed between fire and water by virtue of our obedience or disobedience of God's command. He declares, and we must note these words with greater interest, "The eyes of the Lord are on those who fear Him, and He knows every deed of man. He has not commanded anyone to be ungodly, and He has not given anyone permission to sin." It is suitable to respond with Psalm 119. Blessed are those who walk in the law of the Lord. In this psalm, the psalmist prays for divine illumination or wisdom in order to understand the wonders of the law. It is good to note that when Jesus started his ministry, many adherents of Jewish religion stood askance as to what was the mission of the Messiah. They expected Jesus to become a great enthusiast of Judaism. However, they saw some charismatic movements in his mission that did not entirely support every provision and practice in the law. The Sabbath law is a glaring example. However, in the Gospel, Jesus confirmed that his mission was not to abolish the law and the prophets, which is the entire divine revelation in the Hebrew Bible. And we know that the core of the law and the prophets is summed by Jesus as love of God and love our neighbors. Compare Matthew 22:37 to 40. What then is the mission of Jesus? We can itemize the mission of Jesus in the following ways, taking clue from the Gospel reading. A. Jesus does not promote anarchy. He is still a lawgiver. The law is very central to his mission. He does not redefine freedom as lawlessness, what many modern people try to do in the name of freedom and autonomy. He says, "Till heaven and earth pass away, not an iota, not a dot will pass from the law until all is accomplished." In line with this, we must become accustomed to making good laws and keeping them. Let us get used to obeying laws, especially the laws of God. B. The mission of Jesus is also to preach an elevated form of righteousness that is not simply showy. The scribes and Pharisees were accused by Jesus as beautiful outside and rotten inside when he referred to them as whitewashed tombs that appeared righteous outwardly but were filled with corruption within. Compare Matthew 23 and Luke 11. It is not sufficient to look Christian and holy. Be a Christian and be holy. C. The mission of Jesus is a mission of reconciliation and peace. Jesus shows that it is fitting to reconcile with a brother before offering gifts to God. He says, "Make friends quickly with your accuser." Everything isn't about violence or litigation. Conflicts and misunderstanding should be resolved amicably, not fixed like fixed deposits in the banks. D. The mission of Jesus is a mission of decent human sexuality, not a reckless one. Sexuality is a great gift, and it must remain a decent way of companionship and procreation. The law condemns adultery, but Jesus raises the bar in a way that goes beyond the provision in the law. For Jesus, lust is more than the actual performing of the act of adultery. Hence, using metaphors like right eye, right hand, he encouraged his hearers to deal with things that cause them to sin. Moreover, he condemned arbitrary divorces that were going on during his time. E. The mission of Jesus is to make us convinced believers, not doubtful ones. Our yes must be yes, and our no must be no. Jesus condemned double standards. Our Christianity has to be built on the foundations of clarity of thoughts, unflinching expressions or profession of faith, and actions that are godly. These 5 points are what we can use to summarize the teachings of Jesus in the Gospel. Summarily, one can notice that the mission of Jesus advertises the wisdom of God. The mission of Jesus on earth makes it easy for us to understand the superiority of divine wisdom over human wisdom. In our world today, old men with grey hairs claim to be wise and experienced. Educated people